The Senate is preparing to take up a short-term bill to fund the government as President Biden's agenda continues to face hurdles on Capitol Hill. Lawmakers have until midnight tomorrow to prevent a government shutdown. If they do not, funding would run out, impacting hundreds of thousands of federal workers and agencies that are continuing to respond to the pandemic. President Biden was scheduled to be in Chicago today, but canceled that trip last minute so he could be in Washington, where his agenda hangs in the balance. CBS News' Skyler Henry reports from the White House.
Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says they will vote on a resolution to avoid a partial government shutdown set to begin Friday.
We can approve this measure quickly and send it to the House so it can reach the president's desk before funding expires midnight tomorrow.
But there is still an October 18th deadline to raise the debt limit, which allows the government to pay its bills. Republicans say they oppose raising the debt limit because Democrats are working to pass a $3.5 trillion spending bill on their own using a Senate tool called reconciliation.
Democrats' reckless taxing and spending spree will earn it 0 votes from Senate Republicans.
President Biden canceled a planned trip to Chicago in order to continue negotiations with a pair of moderate Senate Democrats who have still not signed off on the spending bill.
We're at a pivotal moment. We need to continue to work to finalize the path forward.
The president met with Senators Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema yesterday, and Sinema will be back at the White House today. The two oppose the $3.5 trillion price tag, but won't say what they can accept.
No, we haven't talked about figures at all. We should be talking about the need of our country.
Without the reconciliation bill, progressive Democrats in the House say they won't sign off on the president's $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill, which is scheduled for a vote Thursday.
We are not confining our vision, as the president has said he's not confining his, for rebuilding infrastructure to this legislation.
Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders added to the pressure, tweeting, "I strongly urge my House colleagues to vote against the bipartisan infrastructure bill until Congress passes a strong reconciliation bill." Skyler Henry, CBS News, the White House.
For more on this, I want to bring in CBS News senior White House correspondent Weijia Jiang. Hi, Weijia. So President Biden was supposed to be in Chicago today talking about vaccines. What is the strategy behind his decision to stay in D.C. instead?
Well, the White House is being very blunt about this, saying that they feel like they are making progress with lawmakers to try to seal the deal, if you will, for these infrastructure proposals. And so they don't want to lose momentum. The president was going to go to Chicago to try to encourage more businesses taking on vaccine mandates like some in that area have already done. But clearly his priority now is making sure that these very critical pieces of his domestic agenda still have a lifeline. And as we just heard in Skyler's piece, he has been doing a lot of personal outreach and engagement, which we expect to continue today. And that's why they decided to postpone that trip, although it will be rescheduled for another time. But I think his focus right now and all his energy is dedicated to trying to find compromise within his own party to get something done.
And we are also closely watching Democratic Senators Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema, who are holding up the president's $3.5 trillion spending bill. What are we learning from the meetings they have had with President Biden?
Well, we know that they are ongoing, and none of these key players are revealing that much about the specifics in the conversations. For example, one thing we don't know yet is what their top line number is. We know that these two senators have rejected from pretty early on the $3.5 trillion figure, which is what the reconciliation package stands at now. What we don't know is what they want that number to be. And that is something that the president has asked directly to them. He has said, look, just give me a number that you can live with, and let's try to work around that. We also don't know exactly what Sinema and Manchin want to cut out of the package to get the number smaller, if anything. But we know that Senator Manchin at least has expressed frustration over some climate proposals being weaved into the other social programs that are in that massive bill. But, you know, the White House has said many times that they aren't going to negotiate in public, and that's why I think from them at least we're not getting a lot of details about what these lawmakers are asking for.
Right. And Weijia lawmakers are also dealing with the threat of a government shutdown. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen is warning of the consequences if Congress does not raise the debt limit. Republicans want the Dems to go it alone. So at this point, it's the 11th hour. Why don't they do that?
Well, Senator Schumer just spoke about this on the floor, and he said that we are in uncharted territory if they were to even consider that, and it's not something that he wants to do. When he uses a process like reconciliation, as we are watching play out for the infrastructure package, it's not that easy, right? I mean, it just takes one senator to sort of ask for a delay. And Schumer said that he was worried that if he were to try to go at it alone, it would just be ping-ponged back and forth, and there would be delay after delay, which is something that they cannot afford right now because the clock is ticking, which is also something that Skyler pointed out in his piece. And so he has made pretty clear that he will not go that route. And the White House has said President Biden does not want to eliminate the filibuster for this particular vote on the debt ceiling either, just because he does not want to eliminate it for other reasons that would set a potentially tricky precedent moving ahead.
All right. Well, Weijia Jiang at the White House, thank you so much.
Sure.